you didn't notice.
Hey, Alex.
Let's start all over.
We messed up.
That's
cool. You know what? Let's get all the screw-ups out of the way now. At least they didn't hear me curse.
Is there a better way I could, try to get your attention?
No, there's not.
Like this?
I have everything turned off.
Interrupt next time. That's what I would tell you, because it's not a big deal.
Yeah, just unmute yourself.
Okay. All right.
All right. So
100% not John's fault there, but
no, definitely not.
Start over.
But you know what? We're gonna blame him anyway.
Yeah.
He's the producer.
Excuse me?
It's his fault. Just like Alec
Baldwin.
Baldwin.
I didn't know what to do. I tried messaging you.
All right. So
you get a fresh take.
An Austrian brothel. John, we're gonna cut that out on the clips version, by the way.
I would assume.
And this part too.
Audio.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. An Austrian brothel is offering free sessions as a bribe to get the jab. Governor DeSantis wants to bus illegal immigrants from Florida to Delaware. A longtime soap opera star has been dismissed for refusing the vaccine and is now drawing criticism for calling Rachel Levine a dude. The judge in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial is racist for telling a joke about Asian food, and you're watching Dangerous Tangents. Tonight I'm joined by a good friend of mine and one of the inspirations for getting out here and doing this, Alex Purple Swordfish Aldridge.
Hey, how you doing, Jared?
Hey, how's it going? You know, the second read was way better, I feel like.
It definitely went over a lot better. So in a way, having
blessing and a curse.
5-minute discussion.
Yeah, blessing and a curse. Did you know Austrian? Yeah, did you know Austrian brothels are offering customers a free session with a quote lady of their choice if they get vaccinated at the internal clinic of the brothel?
I did not know this. This is news to me.
Yeah.
I read it in the show notes, thought it was a joke.
I did too.
Yeah.
Then
I realized this is a fully verified news source, and it's a real thing that's happening.
It is. It's real. It's happening, and you can be down to 14 years old if you're accompanied by an adult.
Yeah. Get the jab, get your jollies, take your kid.
Yeah.
Great thing.
I mean,
as you said in the first take, maybe the voucher is transferable, right?
It could be.
Take your kid, take the voucher, have a good time. And then he has to deal with the fallout, right?
Yeah.
He gets the bruised arm. You already went through it.
Exactly. You already did it. You did your civic duty. You're the hero, the real hero. And now you get to enjoy the company of I'm not sure what an Austrian Olga? Is that an Austrian name? That might be German. I'm not really sure the difference.
That's definitely Ukrainian, Jared. But
is it? Okay. Well.
Yeah, I would know that because I have Ukrainian lineage in me, and that's a very common name in the Ukraine.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of German girls named Olga.
There's
crossbreeding. I'm sure.
I'm talking out of turn here. I mean, it's an Eastern European name.
It is,
and it's got probably. There's probably going to be some guy in the comments. Actually, it's a
there's
Eastern
always that
Germanic
guy.
tribe.
Actually, it's Russian. Like, no, shut up. Nobody cares.
I would know. My grandmother is named Olga.
And she was from Venezuela.
Yeah, I dated a girl named Olga. She was from the Ukraine. And like I said, I have Ukrainian lineage, and it's a very common name over there in like Russia, former USSR, all that kind of stuff.
Well, a lot of those former Soviet countries, they kind of share a lot of names, so.
Yeah.
No, and also, John, you don't have to unmute yourself, but you are one of 4 people who, when I just checked my phone, sent me messages that there was no audio. I want to thank all of you, but I didn't pay attention, and now I did.
Yeah.
So here we go.
I want to thank them for sticking with it. Because, I mean, how long can you watch 2 guys talk, try to lip read, and you're sitting there going, what are they talking about? And then you finally do get audio, and you realize it might have been better when it was on mute, because these guys are talking about an Austrian brothel. I just want to know what's a sauna club? I've never heard of that.
I want to say that that's like Austrian for brothel.
So it's basically like a euphemism.
It's kind of like how we call like strip clubs gentlemen's clubs. Like even though that was a real thing and it involved like leather chairs and cigars, not strippers.
Yeah. Those don't really exist anymore.
They don't. And now they just, honestly, most of them seem to have even dropped it. They're just like, yeah, no, all nude. Like XXX.
Yeah, there's one here. Yeah, there's one here in like the Orlando area. And I know I know you know of it, Jared.
I'm sure I do.
You know, their big draw is they got an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Is that trying trying to think.
It's the one that if you were to go there,
Mhm.
I've never been, but I do know people who did go, and they were like, yeah, it's great because if you go there and you swipe your debit card, not a worry, your wife won't find out. It rings up on your bank account as a steakhouse.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about. Is that over?
Yeah.
Towards I know which one.
It's pretty close to where we used to work together.
Yeah,
a long time ago.
I remember that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it.
So-
I actually used to live kind of behind it.
So theoretically, if they were offering vaccinations at this establishment that we were just talking about,
Right.
would you go get your vaccination there?
Well, what are they offering? Like, is it the same
A free
deal?
30-minute? Yeah, same deal.
Okay. No, probably not. I mean,
Maybe,
I'd like to keep my
maybe a
wife.
free buffet.
Oh, now,
Yeah, I know,
now we're talking. What kind of buffet? Are we talking breakfast time?
I don't know.
I mean,
I feel like you could go anytime.
if I can go in the morning and it's all you can eat, like eggs and bacon and sausage, maybe.
What's the breakfast crew look like in a establishment like that? That's got to be. That's not even the B crew. That's got to be like the C crew.
I think
right?
it's just below the Tuesday afternoon crew.
Yeah, that's the really.
It's like, oh, you're just in from the truck stop, ain't you?
They're like the baseball players that are playing in the minors at 39. They're completely washed up, but they're just kind of there anyway, like out of respect.
Yeah, like the entire
Yeah,
cast
that
of,
kind of thing.
The entire cast of Major League, they just got out of the penal league.
Yeah, this is actually, I feel like what I just said was pretty misogynistic, and I'm terrible for saying that. So I'm sorry out there, women.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry to women who work at a strip club on Tuesday afternoon.
So, all joking aside.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
these
this is weird.
vaccination programs, do you think they're working? Because I don't think they are. Like, we talked about this in the first take.
Yeah, I think they worked to a point. And then where I was getting to is, like, if you wanted to get it, you got it already. If you don't, the people that are left now, like, there's nothing you could offer them except the government will never bother you again with anything if you get this shot.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. If I was opposed completely to the vaccination, which I'm not, I was one of the early people.
Right.
But, and by the way, again, you didn't hear me say this the first time around. I'm against mandates of any kind regarding this because I just think people should have autonomy over their own body and things like that. I'm not getting into all that. But
you made a choice to go get it at that point.
I know. I should have
fine.
held out. I should have gotten some good stuff because imagine if they came to you, Jared, and they go, hey, bro, you're not vaccinated. We got this once in a lifetime. The IRS will never audit you. Sign me up.
All right, no, I mean it's gonna take a little more than that because I don't really cheat on taxes anyway, so it's not really a concern for me. Although if I had like a guarantee,
if you didn't have,
if I had a guaranteed like I'm never gonna get audited no matter what, like I'm just gonna like start claiming I make zero money. It's fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. You go in, you felt you knew was it the W-9? And you're like, no, I am exempt. It's amazing. I'm illegal. It's fine. But if we get to the point where we're like, all right, one, the IRS is not going to bother you. The ATF is never going to bother you.
Oh, that'd be great.
The FBI is never going to bother you. Anything with 3 letters in their name, you're good.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, that's too hard. That's hard to resist. Now, will they offer it? No, because the FBI likes crawling up people's asses.
I just feel like you're right when you say everybody that wanted to get it got it. Everybody that's left that isn't, they're probably not going to unless there's some kind of way to coerce them.
Yeah.
You're kind of at that point of law of diminishing returns. Like I do statistics for a living, so like that's something we always look at is you're always gonna, when you offer something like this, like whether even it's like a great product, right? You put it on sale for $9.99 and it's this wonderful product that's usually $20. Like you'll have this big boom.
Right.
People buying it for, and then after a while, like it kind of tapers off because everybody who wanted that thing got it.
Right. And
there's not like that much demand for it anymore. And I feel like we're just kind of hovering at 60, 70%. So
I don't feel like we're going to really get much more. Unless, like I said,
everybody's kind of hovering around.
Unless there's like a blowout sale. And honestly, I feel like if anything, the numbers are going to go down. And I say this because they are now getting into this whole booster thing. And I feel like there's a number of people, maybe not a lot, but a number of them that went and said, you know what? I'm just going to get this done so I don't got to wear the mask anymore. I don't got to worry about people spitting in my face, that kind of stuff. I don't have to worry about it. It's a vaccine. We're good. They bought the initial sell-off, and now that it's all coming out, they're like, oh, well, it kind of lasts like 2 months, because that's what the NBA is saying. Like, hey, if you got Johnson & Johnson more than 2 months ago, you have to get a booster if you want to play. Well, that to me says this shit doesn't work very long. So now you've got people. So like you said, you went and got it. You're fully vaccinated. And to that, I say so far.
Yeah, I actually had an interesting talk with my wife who works in the medical field, and she's incredibly intelligent when it comes to things like this, way more intelligent than I'll ever be. I've learned a lot from her on this, and I've learned a lot from reading about these types of things. And I think you're right. I think this is one of those things where it's probably heading towards an endemic, and that would mean that you would really be kind of constantly chasing this thing with booster shots. So then it kind of becomes a question of, it sort of is a moving target, or I saw somebody say it was moving the goalposts not too long ago.
Yeah.
Like, in 6 months, what does fully vaccinated mean, right? And then in 12 months, what does that mean? And then, like, 2 years from now, is it something that we're even talking about in 2 years? I don't know. I mean,
I would say honestly, probably not. It depends on. Well, I mean, certain people will still always be talking about it. But I mean, I'll point this out too, and I'm sure other people have brought it out because I've heard other people say it. You know that little card that you got with it that wouldn't fit in your wallet for some reason? I don't know why they made it that size, so everybody just immediately lost it. It had 4 slots on it for 2 shots. That's weird. Why?
It is weird. I noticed that when I got it, and I thought, well, I'll probably be doing. Because originally, like I said, I was kind of early in the process, but they were already talking about the aspect of maybe doing a booster for people that were severely immunocompromised and like the very elderly.
Right.
It was kind of a thought at that time. It wasn't something that they were necessarily even doing, but
yeah, they weren't even recommending.
Yeah, I think we're just going to keep chasing it as a country, and
we are,
and then eventually it'll kind of fade away. Because unfortunately, I just don't know that it's something that you can be fully immune to.
You're not going to eradicate it. I can tell you that much. They've found that it has animal like hosts. Like it can be hosted in animals that don't show any symptoms or anything like that. Now, far we haven't found like the magical bats. But that's a whole different topic. But it can be an animal reservoir. So it's not going away. It's the flu. It's the new flu. It's going to hit certain people harder. It's going to hit certain people not as hard. And at this point, you just kind of go like, do they mandate like, hey, you got to get a flu shot every year? Because we kind of guessed at which flu is coming, and this is the one we think it is. So just let me jab you in the arm. And
look up those flu stats, by the way. Whenever you get a chance, like if you really want to go down a rabbit hole, look up the flu stat since COVID's been a thing.
It's amazing. It's like gone, eradicated.
It's like gone. It's gone. It's like COVID was like Pac-Man just eating it up.
Well, heart disease.
I'm the dominant virus now.
Yeah, heart disease. Any kind of obesity related death cause went way down, way down.
Yeah. Even though we were staying inside getting fatter.
Which is weird, right? Because you'd think, like, if they know, and they've said obesity is a big contributing factor, they'd be like, let's close all the gyms. Really? Then, like, everybody stay inside. Okay, well, vitamin D deficiency, as far as some studies that I've read, is kind of important, too. Why? Like, just none of it makes sense, except for, let's see what we can get people to do. Let's see how far we can push people. 15 days to flatten the curve, and we've already passed the 1-year anniversary. Like,
yeah, we're well past that.
Yeah, we're coming up on 2, isn't it? Like,
we're
like
18 months into
4 months
it.
away.
Yeah, well over 18 months. Yeah, we're well over 18 months into it. So it's been over a year and a half. And I just think that unfortunately we've become this weird. I'm just talking about the U.S. I don't know what it's like in Austria. I mean, they're giving out coupons for brothels. That's just way off my radar. I don't know what's going on there. But I know here in the U.S., I feel like we've just become like this nation of fear. Everything's based off of fear. We react out of fear. We turn on the TV, CNN, they just have those numbers up on the screen all day long, and it's just to induce fear, and it's on the front page. And
they do that on purpose.
I don't know. And I'm not picking on CNN either, because, CNN's just one of the many news networks. Yeah, I'll pick on them too. But I don't mean to be that guy who picks on CNN.
Well,
but,
I mean, everybody does it. It's kind of a pile-on
thing now. Well, they all stink, but yeah.
They do. I would say that they're among the worst. See, like the main difference between CNN and MSNBC, in my opinion, is MSNBC knows that they're not like an actual news source, that they're just like a commentary machine for a particular side, whereas CNN thinks that they're journalists. So, like Rachel Maddow doesn't. Rachel Maddow doesn't wake up in the morning and go, "Man, I'm such a good journalist." Like, there's no way.
It's sort of like when you meet someone and they're a jerk.
Yeah.
And they tell you up front that they're a jerk. And you're like, oh, at least they're upfront about it, and I know what to expect, right? Because it's not necessarily an excuse to be a jerk. Know me, know my ways. I've always hated that, but like at the same time, I appreciate that rather than a guy who's kind of sneaky about it, right?
Right.
And he like screws you over, and you're like, oh man, that guy was a jerk. I thought he was such a nice guy. You know, MSNBC, they're upfront about it. Hey, we're liberal. That's what we are.
We're part of the cult.
Take it or leave it. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it. You told me who you are. It's okay.
I'm still gonna choose not to watch it, but unless I'm like looking to laugh. But you know, at least you let me know. Whereas like Don Lemon thinks he's a journalist when he's really just a guy that like touches his wiener and then shoves it in dudes' faces at bars.
Wait, that's the thing?
Yeah, no, he's getting sued over it.
I didn't know anything about Don Lemon doing that. I just always thought he was kind of
yeah,
I mean, I thought he was kind of the most boring man alive, but I guess he does have a little bit of excitement to him.
Not off screen. In fact, he got real mad at Megyn Kelly on her now independent show because she's got kicked off Fox and then MSNBC.
Yeah,
and then left. No, she left Fox. I'm sorry, she did not get kicked off Fox. She left Fox. Yeah, no, she had the guy who was suing him over this on her show, and then Don Lemon got real mad because Don Lemon got mad at her because he thought that the reporting was one-sided because she only had him on. Okay.
He has a little bit of a point.
Well, he also would know about being one-sided.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, well, can't bring you on as well. Maybe bring him on subsequent. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Who cares? It's Don Lemon.
Exactly. Nobody cares. Like, if you have to like pretend that you're leaving CNN to promote that they're changing the name to your show to get people excited, like you're done. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Speaking of not caring anymore, Ron DeSantis said he's going to send all of the immigrants that come through the border to Delaware.
Yeah.
Now, why Delaware? Well, it's because that's where Biden's house is, where he keeps escaping to every weekend and most weekdays. So, yeah, he's basically come out and said, you know, if you're not going to do anything about the border, and you're going to, you know, we all know that the federal government's been shipping immigrants that come through the border illegally while they wait for their court date, which most of them never show up to. I'm sure some of them do. Kind of all around the country, I've heard of like midnight flights to Tennessee, Michigan, Ohio, and, you know, Florida, obviously, is one of those states. So he's offered to buy them a bus ticket to Delaware.
I'm okay with that.
I'm good. I think this is better than when Giuliani kicked the homeless out of New York by putting them on a bus to Jersey.
If that isn't the most Rudy Giuliani move ever.
It really was.
I don't know if I could think of a better one. That's Rudy Giuliani all day. That's Rudy Giuliani in a nutshell. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, Jared, I think we have to think about borders a little bit more in our country and maybe look to some of our peers.
Mm-hmm.
Because for the longest time, we've talked about open borders, open arms, and, you know, being so accepting. And I get the intent behind that, and I understand the philosophical nature of wanting to kind of bring everybody in that wants to be in. But if you look at any other advanced society, even our neighbors, Mexico and Canada, you can't just get in there very easily and stay there. Like, Canada will turn you around in a hot minute.
Well,
if you have as much as, like, if you have a pending misdemeanor here in the United States, Canada will tell you at the border, no, go away.
Yeah, no.
And they will send you back.
No, go home, but here we'll take care of your boo-boos first.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, honestly, if they want to come here and like they've got like they need to get a leg amputated or whatever before we ship them back, like I'm good with that. No, honestly,
Yeah.
I mean what it comes down to for me is if you don't have borders and you don't have secure borders, you don't have a country. You're just on a piece of land. That's what makes a country is the people within the borders that are citizens that are here to work, or the people that are trying to become citizens, trying to assimilate into the culture, which is great. I welcome them with open arms. Just do it the proper way. But yeah, if
I
you can
agree.
just walk through, then you don't have a country. You're just on a different piece of land.
You got to be really careful with that because it's sort of a slippery slope, and there probably are people coming over illegally that have nothing but good intentions, and I
I'm
feel
sure.
poor. I feel bad for them because that's just a poor scenario for them in terms of outcome. But when it comes to having a secure border, it's a security risk. I mean, it's in the name, right? Secure border, and
Right.
then if we really care about our last topic, COVID, so much, we don't know who's coming through in terms of vaccination since that works so well, right?
Right. Well,
And
also
unless they
there's
got a coupon, if they got an Austrian coupon at the border and they're crossing illegally, let them through. They went through it, right?
that's
But
fair. Yeah. No, if you got
yeah,
proof, but they're not asking for proof of vaccination. They're not
no,
even
and I
they're
don't
not
think they
even like
will.
honestly I'd almost be a little bit more okay with it if like they were enforcing a mandate like, hey, before you step across the fence, let me line it up and just inject that little bit in there. Okay, cool. You're fine. I'm like, nah, I mean, still don't come here illegally, but just try to enforce the same standards that you expect the people that are in the country and are paying taxes and doing all the stuff that you want. Let's expect that of the same people that are coming out. You know what I mean? Let's make it an equal standard. But no, if you're coming over here illegally and then going back and forth across the border to get food because the parts where the border fence is, there's not a whole lot of restaurants. Go figure. So I mean, there's literally video of people coming in. I think it was when the large amount of Haitian people came in from Mexico. They were just going
Yeah.
back to Mexico, grabbing a bite to eat, and coming back, and like there was just nothing stopping them. Nothing at all.
Mhm.
And then, you've got the media when there was a Border Patrol guy on a horse with a rein saying that he was whipping them. And I'm like, that's obviously somebody who's never been around a horse at all.
Yeah, that was a little
That
questionable.
was super questionable. But yeah, no, I mean, if Joe Biden wants them all here and just to come over, then let's send them to Delaware. I mean, it'll fill up pretty quick. It's a tiny little state and just full of trailer parks, but they got
I will
space.
tell you, knowing people from Delaware, that would be an interesting day for the citizens of Delaware. They are a very insulated little state, let me
They
tell you.
really
I've been
are.
there. Yeah, it's a very unique state, much like we were talking about West Virginia earlier and how unique that place is in a good way. Delaware also very unique in a good way. I can only imagine like a bus full of illegal immigrants just getting off in the middle of Delaware. Like
Bus
that's a
says.
sitcom waiting to happen, man. But what concerns me about this, on a serious note, is I don't like the idea and I say this as someone who's a Florida resident,
Mhm.
born and raised here in Florida. I don't like the idea of the federal government giving a state what really would essentially amount to an obligation,
Yeah.
because these people are going to need a lot of help. They're not from here. They don't know they're not going to be able to acclimate
Right.
themselves. They're going to need help and assistance, and that's going to cost money, and that is a financial obligation. And I don't like the idea of the federal government imposing that on a state
Mm.
without their consent.
Yeah.
But then again, Joe Biden does a lot of things without people's consent, and there's a long track record of that. So I'm with DeSantis here. I think he's doing a really great job as governor. And I do think it's incredibly entertaining to see his ongoing rivalry with our current president, because these two guys,
They're just
they
going
don't
at
like
it.
each other now. Yeah, they don't like each other right now. But I have a really bad feeling for President Biden that he might be looking across the debate in a few years and see a Governor DeSantis there. talking against him because
that's a possibility.
he's done such a good job getting Florida through this pandemic. And if you look at the economic numbers, they do not lie.
No.
The economy has recovered here in Florida much faster than it has in other states. And he's done a tremendous job of guiding the state through these challenging and unique times, as every email from every corporation tells me. Challenging and unique times, Jared. And DeSantis has done a great job, and I think it might earn him some looks in the Republican primary for the presidency next time around, because I don't really think they're firm on who they're going to put up next time.
Actually, I mean, with CPAC and that having passed relatively recently, all right. So with the polls I saw coming out of that, if Trump runs, which is a question mark, no matter what he says, because he's going to be what, 78 at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's my main concern with President Trump.
Also, too, like, don't get me wrong, no matter who the Republican Party puts up, they're going to be a Nazi, a racist, a liar. They hate your children. They hate anybody that's not white. You know, it doesn't matter. But with Trump, I feel like that feeling is stronger and also already sold. But if Trump runs, he wins the straw poll at every large Republican convention that I've seen, conservative convention more accurately. When he's excluded from that poll, though, DeSantis wins by a landslide. Like a large percent. We're talking like half.
An interesting idea that was floated, because he has a great relationship with our former President Trump, was putting DeSantis on the ticket as VP.
No.
Because we know Pence won't be there.
Oh, no. Pence is not going to be there.
That relationship's burnt.
I feel like...
So...
here's my problem with that. I don't want to waste DeSantis as a VP on what's going to be a incredibly... what's the word I'm looking for? Challenged presidency again. We saw what happened the last time. It's not going to be an easy road, and there's going to be a lot of smearing for the entire 4 years. When we're still just finding out that, like, oh no, there's definitive proof that Russiagate was bullshit. We all knew it was. There's going to be a new one. I don't want DeSantis getting into that. I want him as like the prime candidate. So I don't think a vice presidential role is good. Also, if he's just going to be the vice president, let him just stay in Florida. Like, I'm cool with that.
Me too.
Let him continue to be the governor. He's doing a great job, in my opinion. I know I have certain friends that disagree. But just let him keep doing that. Let him keep doing what he's doing, and then showing that he's ready for that next step. Trump's only got one term left. Why run on the VP when your name could possibly be besmirched and dragged through the mud even further? Let him do that when you're actually running for president. And honestly, I don't think he would run against him in a primary either. Like, because they do have that relationship. I don't think that he runs against Trump in the primary. If Trump decides to run, I think DeSantis is going to be out. As for like who a good VP candidate would be,
JFK Jr.
Ooh, that's a great one. Very vacant.
You haven't seen that conspiracy theory?
I have.
That JFK Jr. isn't really dead, and that he's going to resurface.
He's going to come back.
Not to be too dark, I like to think that like he comes walking out of the ocean in like 2023, right?
They somehow
and he's
have
like,
the
President Trump, I am here.
They have the Republican National Convention.
Yeah.
In New York City, right by the beach.
Yeah.
And then he just comes in looking like Castaway.
Yes.
And just walks straight to the stage. Goes, I accept the vice presidential nomination.
How could you not vote for that?
I mean,
how could you not
You have
vote
Trump
for that?
and then Kennedy Jesus. I mean,
pretty much.
Oh no, I do.
It's my favorite conspiracy theory at the moment.
That's a great one. It's really,
I went down the rabbit hole.
Really out there.
It's so out there, and I love stuff like that because
I'll put it this way though. I think Bigfoot is more likely to run for VP than JFK Jr.
I mean, it's right up there with Flat Earth.
How
The
could you
Flat
not
Earth
vote for that,
Society.
though? Like, Trump and
I don't know,
Bigfoot.
man. Trump and Bigfoot.
He's real. He's here. He's nicer than Kamala Harris. That's all you need.
Imagine if Bigfoot comes out and he's like super articulate, like he's got good ideas, he's got plans and stuff.
He's like, yeah, and I know you guys are concerned about climate change, and I know I'm running as a Republican, and that's not really our thing, but I've got ideas because I've been living out in the forest for hundreds of years.
If anybody knows about the climate changing,
it's Bigfoot.
Me.
Yeah.
I'm out there.
Trust me, Bigfoot.
Yeah. My cousin, the Yeti, he's up north. I can tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Getting way warmer up there.
In fact, he's going to be my Secretary of the Interior so that he can help with all of this stuff. Also, he said there's lots of oil in Alaska. Let's go get it.
Well, it would be pretty good for their economy. I get the environmental concern behind it because that's totally like, for example, I know we're getting way off topic.
We are.
Here.
It's fine. Just go.
Hence the name of the show, right?
Yeah, exactly. We just go off. These are all just jumping off points. Don't even worry about it.
So I'm all about drilling and, trying to get as much fossil fuel as possible until we can find renewable energy sources, hopefully in the near future, so that we don't have to worry about foreign fuel. Because I think that our independence from foreign fuel would be a wonderful thing for our country if we can get to that point.
Right.
But when it comes to drilling in places like Alaska, it is a little scary to me because of the environmental concern. And then people start talking about really reckless stuff like fracking. Yeah. And then I actually did some research into some of the fracking operations that are real, because there's good fracking and there's bad fracking. Right. It's like anything else. There's good mechanics and bad mechanics.
Of course.
And some of these fracking practices were incredibly reckless and made me go, I don't know if this is something that we should do. Considering the output and the yield and the upside to it, it just didn't seem worth it. But that's just me. Anyway, back on topic. I'm loving this DeSantis Biden thing. Yeah. It's like pro wrestling to me. They're cutting promos at one another.
It really is. Great. It's very similar, except Biden's like Ric Flair right before he retired, where he was just kind of incoherent.
Pretty much. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to the cage match, Jared. There's going to be a cage match. It's going to happen. There's going to be some kind of a standoff. I feel like at some point, somewhere along the line, our governor and our president are going to face off on some kind of an issue. It might not even be a big one. Right?
I want it to be.
It's just going to be epic.
I want them face to face, though. That's what I want to see. I want to see
Me too.
Joe Biden challenge Ron DeSantis to a push-up contest in person.
How many push-ups do you think President Biden could do?
Half?
Half?
Yeah. I mean, he trips upstairs.
I don't know, man. You got to be careful with those old guys sometimes. Sometimes they'll sneak up on you and they'll bust out 15, 20 out of nowhere.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's an arm strength issue. No. I think it's that he gets halfway down and forgets what he's doing.
Oh, no. I gotta be like that, man. Did you see him sleeping in the environmental conference?
Yeah, did you see him looking like Cornholio on that town hall?
Yeah, that was great too.
My favorite was the Photoshop of him on. Do you ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
They Photoshopped him onto little Sebastian, holding the reins.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up. That sounds great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I love the back and forth between DeSantis and Biden. I wish they could do it in real time. Like, honestly,
it would be great. It would be great.
If DeSantis just told me he was gonna run, which, like, Ron, if you're watching, call me. We'll talk. I've got ideas. If he came out and said, "Look, I want to run," if Trump doesn't, I would actively discourage Trump from running. Like, dude, you had a good run. I liked you. You were great on a lot of things. Like, there were some things where you could have done some work, like, stop spending so much money. But look, he's like a lot of the things that Trump was that I liked, but he's also articulate and good with the media. Like, when he puts down the media, it looks good.
He's also really got a great look.
He does. He's got a great look. He's got a very presidential-looking family.
My wife's coworkers, mostly female,
Mm-hmm.
and even the ones that don't like his politics
Mm-hmm.
say they like him because he's a good-looking guy. And I think that's very interesting.
Look,
that's intriguing to me.
It is interesting. It's an interesting look. It's not usually what I look for in a politician. Although I will say, Tulsi Gabbard,
except JFK Jr.,
not a bad looking girl, woman,
yeah,
lady, congressman, senator. She was a senator, right? I forget. Anyway,
I think so. Yeah.
Now she's on Rumble and doing her thing and doing great. Although I will say, when she came out with her take on the Afghanistan withdrawal was a little disappointing for the lady going around saying during the primaries, like, hey, no more foreign wars and we need to stop all these regime change wars. And then she came out on, I think it was Fox News, and was like, oh, we've got to take care of Afghanistan because Muslim extremists. I'm like, now? Really? That's the play?
There are some
but
positive aspects to that strategy, but there's also a lot of negatives. Like,
I would say more negative than positive at this point.
Yeah, I'm not totally opposed to what you're saying, but I just kind of wonder. I think so. The Afghanistan exit.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I really, we could have withdrew in a better way. I think we could have been a little bit more organized about it.
Well, but
I do think that the idea of getting out of there, because it was something that was put into motion when Trump was in office.
Right.
And at the time when he announced it, I was definitely all for it because I know multiple people who've been deployed there, and they basically said, it's never going to change.
No, it's
as soon as we leave, it's going to go right back. And by the way, it did.
Yeah.
And
good call.
So they were definitely, they would know better than anybody because they were there. Like my cousin, he's been there twice, and he talked about it, and exactly what he said was going to happen happened. And but I think we could have done a better job getting out of there.
Yeah. In
a way that didn't lead to loss of American lives.
Well,
and some people still being stranded over there from what I understand. There's some still over there. I don't know.
I feel like, honestly, all we really needed to change was, a couple things. One, we had an air base that had more than one runway, and that's not where we chose to exfiltrate from. And also, what happened to the whole Titanic thing of, like, women and children first? It was like, let's take most of the troops out and then evacuate all the civilians. That's not how you do anything.
No, it's about equality.
Isn't it always?
That's such a misogynistic point of view, Jared.
I know. I'm a horrible person.
You're probably the kind of guy who opens the door for a lady.
It depends on the lady.
Open the car door for your wife.
Occasionally, yeah. She always looks at me weird, though.
Feeding into the toxic patriarchy.
I know. I'm such a misogynist, and
yeah. Hey, man, I am that guy.
I don't want to be the guy who, like, if somebody breaks into my house, we get up and check. Like, I just don't want to be that guy. It's a horrible thing to be, and I'm sorry for it, but I feel like I need to.
Yeah. Be like, hey, I checked last time.
Speaking of guys.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched soap operas?
So it's kind of crazy that this ended up on the show notes because I know exactly who this actor is.
Me too.
Because my grandmother and my mom, my grandmother, God rest her soul, huge fan of General Hospital. We used to watch it with her all the time. We'd watch General Hospital at 3 o'clock on ABC, and then we'd watch Oprah at 4. And my mom was, by extension, also a very big fan because she grew up with my grandma watching General Hospital. So I know who Jax is.
Yeah.
Really cool character in the show.
It was, yeah.
I'm kind of sad that Ingo, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm sad that I just see him and I just think he's Jax because that's all I've ever known him as. But I'm kind of sad that he's
I feel like we're friendly enough with him.
I feel like he'd be okay with it.
I think
he'd be like, oh yeah, you call
fine.
him Jax.
Yeah. No, Yeah, but like the thing he did on his way out just cracked me up. Are you
Yeah.
aware of who Rachel Levine is?
Oh, I am.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
If you haven't figured out
it
by now, if you're like taking bets out there,
Yeah.
not a big fan of Rachel.
Well, I mean, let's face it, she was recently commissioned as a 4-star admiral.
One of the most comedic looking ceremonies ever, by the way. Just
Yeah,
saying.
it was great.
It looked like it was bizarre. It looked like something weird out of Hunger Games to me, but yeah.
I'm also going to be honest, I did not know that there was a Public Health Service commissioned corps.
I did not
I
know
know it was a thing.
that. Yeah, I didn't know that existed.
I also didn't know they had admirals. So I guess
See,
they're on
that's what
boats.
threw me off. Yeah, because that's what threw me off when I saw 4-star admiral.
Yeah.
Because I was reading the article and it didn't show a picture, and I said, "Is there another Rachel Levine in the Navy or something?" You know, like I'm like, is there another person that goes by? You know, because it's not like a totally uncommon name, right? Rachel Levine.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not
Probably
like
a few of those running around.
wildly different from like a
Yeah.
normal name.
So then I find out, I saw the picture. I'm like, whoa, that's the Rachel Levine I was thinking of. What is this core that they're talking? I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I didn't either. I'm looking for So, Winsome Sears, he posted an Instagram post with Winsome Sears, who's Virginia's new lieutenant governor, which congratulations to her.
Yep.
Who, in case anybody doesn't know, is a woman of darker complexion. I want to say African American, but I'm not sure.
I believe so.
Right, but there's so many different qualifiers in there now. We'll go ahead and say she's a black woman. And on the right, and the meme read, "Hello and welcome to Clown Town, where the dude on the left is an empowering woman, and the woman on the right, being the new lieutenant governor of the state of Virginia, is a white supremacist."
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting take. She has been called that. But apparently then he came back later and was like, well, if I had made it, I probably would not have put the word dude for, our esteemed 4-star admiral. But, it is what it is. He posted it and now people are angry about it. So not only is he kicked off the show, but he's pissed off the internet. Which I think is a great start to his new career.
So people were mad about dude.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody mad about clown.
No.
Nobody mad about clown.
Well, they weren't calling her a clown. They were saying we live in a clown world. So I think most people agree that it really depends on how you look at it. Because, no matter what side you're on, if you look at the people that are on the opposite side, you're like, man, this is crazy. Which I think is kind of one of the problems.
If I'm a clown, I'm a little bit upset by this. But
I mean, I think it is clown insensitive.
It is.
And
those people work really hard.
They do. It's a craft.
They go to school for that. Clown college. It's a real thing. Look it up. If you think I'm joking, there really is a clown college here in Florida. It's real. You can go.
Actually, Florida State University has an entire circus program.
They do. They do.
And it's highly esteemed.
If I'm not mistaken, it's officially it's in some kind of a partnership with Barnum and Bailey, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's correct, although I have not double checked that. But yeah, no, it's from everything I've heard, it's quite good. I would say maybe even Florida State may be one of the best clown colleges in the country, which also describes their football team at the moment. Don't get me wrong, I love them. They're my team.
I know you do.
They're they have inspired the color scheme for my entire layout here. But yeah, no, it's not going great. But yeah,
no, not a great couple of years for them.
No.
But
who else is not?
I guess this kind of factors into what we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
This guy had a really good job.
He did.
Worked there a long time, 25 years.
Oh yeah, quite a long time.
And willing to give it all away.
Yeah, just dropped it. Why not? I mean, he's not hurting, and he can probably go work at Hallmark.
You're right. I wonder what their policy is.
I'm not sure, but it's a relatively like I would qualify it as a very right-sided anti-woman company based on their movies, which I, enjoy, but they mostly consist of like, women with a high-powered career somehow gets stuck in a small country town, has never experienced Christmas in her life. They are just so chock full of Christmas spirit that they just shove it right down her throat, and then she falls in love with a lumberjack and never leaves.
Yeah.
Which goes to prove that in Hallmark's mind, all women want is a big, strong man who can cut down trees or grow food or something. I mean, that might say something. There's a lot of women that watch those movies.
Everything. Men fix everything.
They do. All you need is a good man.
Men fix everything. Yeah, that fixes every problem.
Now, in real life, we also break a lot of things.
No, I break
a lot of stuff. Yeah. But when we do break stuff, we can go to Hallmark to get a card that says we're sorry.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing.
Those Hallmark cards are expensive, bro.
They are. They're getting ridiculous.
They're very expensive.
Yeah. No,
they're very expensive.
Have you seen some of like the premium ones? I saw one time. It was $13.99.
No, I believe
for
it.
A card.
Yeah. So like I'm so cheap. I'm notoriously cheap, and one of the things that I always tell people is that I don't like Hallmark card. Like people will go, "Oh, you got me a card. It's really nice." And I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't get you a Hallmark one because I like to write my own thing. Because I go to the store and I get the ones where you gotta, the blank ones.
Yeah, like 50.
Those are like
50 in a box.
Yeah, they just top off at like 99 cents.
Oh yeah,
you get those, and you just gotta write your own thing. All you gotta do to cover yourself is write something relatively meaningful. And boom!
And honestly,
you just save yourself $7 or $8.
With the internet, you can just look up like inspirational quotes.
I don't believe in plagiarism, Jared. Well, I don't think you should either.
I shouldn't, but I do. Look, I'm just saying, unless it's a school assignment, strategy. I'm not publishing it. Okay, it's not plagiarism.
Yeah.
And there's just people that are more eloquent than I am. It happens. Why not
I was always
leverage
worried
that?
If I plagiarized.
What are they going to do? Type in what you wrote on the card into Google and be like, where did he get this from?
But what if you plagiarize, right? Mm-hmm. And let's just say it's a girlfriend, right? You guys are kind of new.
Okay.
And you plagiarize, you write something in the card, and she goes, wow, this guy, he really has it, like, he has it down. He knows what to say. And
he's got it together. He's stable. Mentally.
This is my Hallmark movie man. I should settle down with this guy. That's going to fix all my problems.
Saw him cut
a tree down with you. You get married. You have a couple kids. Then one day she finds out she's, I don't know, just flipping through the channels, flips on Lifetime. Here's a guy say the line that you wrote in the card, right? She realizes you plagiarized the whole thing. Your whole life is a lie. The kids are a lie. How do you recover? How do you recover from that?
The kids are a lie? Did you make up the children?
It's all a lie.
They're not real?
It's all under false pretense. They're not. They're kind of real.
Is this an Inception movie that you're pitching?
I'm just saying it would be really embarrassing if multiple years down the road, after you've had a serious relationship, she finds out the whole thing, it was all done off of the back of plagiarism. She read that card. She realized you were the one. This was the Hallmark movie. It was happening for real this time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then that literally would apply to anybody who has ever used a pickup line to pick up a woman. Because nobody's ever made those up on the spot.
Hear me out on this, Jared. I've never seen a pickup line work.
I haven't either.
Never once. And
no.
I'm first off, I know they wouldn't work for me.
No, trust me. This ain't happening.
I have some friends that I would say pretty good looking. Never seen them use a pickup line successfully. It's never worked.
Listen,
never worked, not once.
I'm going to put it this way. If the pickup line worked, it wasn't because the pickup line worked. It's because she was already choosing you.
Yeah.
She spotted you from across. It's kind of like the old saying where if you're on the date and you're going to the bedroom area and the underclothing matches, you did not choose what was happening here.
Yeah.
She chose what is happening here.
I believe that.
Because that's preparation.
I mean, they do say what, like 80+% of communication is nonverbal.
100%, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
and
100%
so
correct on that.
Yeah, so, but anyway, back to Jax. Sorry, another tangent there.
I mean, honestly, I bet.
Off topic.
Look, if anything is going to work, if a pickup line is going to work for anybody, he's one of those people.
It would work for Jax. He's a good-looking guy.
He's one of those people. He kind of reminds me of, like, he could be. Have you ever seen Take Home Chef?
Mm-hmm.
Which, let me tell you, as a man, is a terrifying show. I come home and there is a very, very objectively attractive Australian man cooking dinner in my kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says it's for me. This feels like a setup.
Yeah.
But he looks like he could be, like, related.
Yeah, I mean, Jax could come over to me, hit me with a pickup line, and I go, I'm questioning a lot of things right now.
It's like Ryan Reynolds.
Really good looking.
Like the joke about Ryan Reynolds. It's like any man is like one Ryan Reynolds pickup line away from possibly being gay.
Yeah, it reminds me of a conversation I had one time in a locker room when I was in sports in high school, and some guy was like, "Oh yeah, guy comes over to me and hits on me, I'm gonna kick his ass." And I'm sitting there going, if a guy hit on me, I'm not saying I would go for it, but I'd be flattered.
I mean, look,
I would be like, hey, I appreciate that.
It is a flattering thing. It's never happened to me, but I imagine I'd be flattered.
Never.
No.
Never, not once.
I will say, though, and my wife can attest to this, when I go out with a group of people and I start drinking, I become this amazing social butterfly that just ends up getting free drinks.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how or why. It just happens.
Yeah, you're one of the few people who when you drink, you actually get more charming.
Well, I mean, let's face it, the bar is pretty freaking low to begin with. So you can only go up from here. But yeah, no, it's weird. It's like I'm just nicer and more pleasant.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, no.
I can see that. I mean, I have seen it, but I can see. I could see how it would work, because
I'm trying to remember when we hung out outside of work.
That I got that Kiwi's place a couple times.
Did I pull drinks there though?
No, I don't think you got like drunk or anything, but like you kind of loosen up a little bit, like because when you're sober, no offense, but you're very direct. You're very direct. And there's no putting lipstick on a pig,
No, there's not.
But then, and like,
but I do bring home the bacon.
You get a couple drinks in you, a little nicer, it's truly social lubricant for you.
Oh yeah, no, I'm the classic case of that. It's just sometimes it goes a little too far, and then I end up getting drinks bought by. Usually, and I'll be honest, usually it's dudes.
Oh well,
I don't know what they're trying, but usually it's dudes.
Maybe just trying to have a good time, I mean, it has to be anything more than that. I just
got reminded the last time that we went out for my wife's birthday, it did it, and I did it quite well, and it was infuriating for her. Not infuriating for me, though. I got free drinks.
Well, that's just a wonderful thing. Jax would get free drinks.
Oh, I'm sure he gets free drinks wherever he goes. That's probably why he's not worried about being out of work.
Well, I hope, with 25 years, I'm not saying that soap operas pay incredibly well.
I mean, they pay better than going to work at most jobs, I would imagine.
Well, 25 years. And I do know that soap operas produce 180 days of TV a year.
Right.
I know that from just being a fan all those years.
Have you ever looked at, like, the IMDb's for, like, General Hospital? Trying to find a single actor is impossible, because, one, they replace actors for certain characters multiple times. And also, it's been on for like 130 years.
Yeah, 59 seasons, according to your notes. And that sounds about right. And Jax was a character that they introduced in '96. I remember when they introduced the character because I was watching very actively at that point. I didn't know he was still on the show, but 25 years is a heck of a run. I would assume he's made a pretty good amount of money, and he's probably been pretty good with it. I assume most people in Hollywood are pretty good with their money.
No, it's
I know they
athletes
have
that blow
those.
it.
Yeah, I know they have like outliers in Hollywood, like guys who just go completely broke. But generally speaking, they're usually pretty good about hiring someone to manage their money in a responsible way. So hope it works out for him, man.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, however you feel about the vaccination thing, that's your own personal choice, and that's fine. But
Yeah, and he made
for
it.
someone to walk away from 25 years, that you have to have pretty strong convictions to do that. So I think at the very least you should respect that. But that's just my take on it.
I would agree. I mean, obviously he's got something where he feels very strongly about it, and
Yeah,
more power to him. I wish him luck with whatever he does next. Maybe he can get a nice Netflix series or something. Who knows?
maybe.
You know who's not
I'll tell
getting
you
a
who
Netflix
isn't
series?
he won't get a comedy special. Not
No.
with this joke. It wasn't offensive. It just wasn't good.
No, it really wasn't, and it was very meandering. The delivery needed some help, but he's a judge.
Yeah.
The longest standing judge in all of Wisconsin, if I'm correct. But the judge in Kyle Rittenhouse's trial faces some backlash over an Asian food joke. And it was, quote, definitely not okay. And I believe that was by... I had it here. But yeah, so basically the joke was, I think they were breaking for lunch and debating on whether the food would get there on time. And said, I hope the Asian food isn't on one of those boats from Long Beach Harbor. Now, I don't think this is an Asian food joke. I think it's an infrastructure joke.
Yeah.
It's very obviously an infrastructure joke, but people were already pissed at him because his phone went off and it was like, God bless the USA or something like that. And apparently that's not an okay thing to have as your ringtone when you're a judge in the United States of America.
It is not.
But,
apparently.
Yeah.
Allegedly. My wife told me about that one.
I think it's great.
The ringtone thing.
Yeah.
And she said, am I wrong for thinking that it's an incredible reach? And I said, Ashley, reach is an understatement, you know? Like,
Yeah.
to judge someone based on a ring. I mean, for years, my ringtone was instrumental version of Rock Your Body from Justin Timberlake. I don't even like Justin Timberlake. I did it as a joke at first, and I ended up liking it, so I kept it for years. You can't judge someone based off
I can't tell you how many ringtones I've set because I thought they were funny.
Yeah.
And then you just... Honestly, I just forget, because my phone is honestly on vibrate most of the time. I just forget what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
my last phone, I didn't even change the ringtone. And it's still whatever Samsung set it as.
I can't remember the last time I actually set a ringtone or notification sound on my phone because it's on vibrate. Like,
yeah,
almost always. I can't even remember the last time I took it off of vibrate.
Well, the last ringtone that I remember actually setting was on my last phone. And it was around the same time that the game released, but it was the Assassin's Creed Odyssey theme song.
You ever think about the guys that were making a lot of money off of the ringtone industry and how that had to have just collapsed?
Oh, yeah, no, that must have been horrible. Although I feel like they're the same guys that were making a lot of money off of selling songs on iTunes for 99 cents.
Yeah.
And now,
that was a big
thing. I mean, it's still the music industry, I believe, most of the ringtones are coming from. Although I'm sure there were some independent guys. You know what? A lot of the did you ever use what was it called? Zedge? I think was like one of those free ringtone things.
Yeah, that was.
There was a lot of Bollywood things on there.
Yeah, there were a ton of them.
So maybe the ringtone industry is just shifted to India, and they're still banking. I don't know.
Those guys came home. They're like telling their wives, we did pretty good here for a long time. We bought a house and had a couple kids and we were living the dream. But it's
time to move.
Just dried up here. We we got to go to India.
Time
so
to move
pack your
to...
bags. We're going to New Delhi.
Oh man, I almost
And
said a horrible thing.
They just go to New Delhi.
They went to greener pastures.
I think I know what you were going to say.
But I want to be clear, it was a poop reference, not a...
I know.
Yeah, anyway. Speaking of references and inappropriate things to say, John C. Yang, who's the executive director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice, an advocacy group defending the human and civil rights of Asian Americans, was quoted as saying, maybe I'm supposed to applaud him for not saying, quote, Oriental food? Was he supposed to be more specific? Is that what his beef is? Because if you want to get down to it, most things that people call Chinese food aren't from China. Like General Tso's chicken, you can't go there and get it. It's New York food with a Chinese flair.
The irony is not lost on me that he is upset that he said Asian when the name of his organization has the word Asian in it.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Asian Americans Advancing Justice.
And for once, I would just want an advocacy. I want an advocacy group, and maybe there is one out there. So, if you know, tweet me. Like, just send me the tweet. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
But I just, for once, want an advocacy group to come out and be like, you know what? We saw the joke. We don't care. It doesn't really bother us. That's how you send a message.
That's a great message. And honestly, I would fully support that advocacy group. I'm pretty sure that would be the only way that would happen is if Dave Chappelle started an advocacy group. Like Americans for Advancing Stand-Up Comedians.
I just don't.
This one's not even a good acronym, though. Asian Americans, the AAAJ?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not catchy.
I feel like it's such a benign thing.
It is.
Like, even like, I sat here and I dissected it, and I actually talked with my wife about this, who is a person of color, got her take on it. And when I told her what was said, she just thought it was a crappy joke. She said, "Wait, is somebody mad about this?" Like, she seemed surprised that somebody would be mad about this type of thing. But
people are taking the joke and kind of stretching it to be like, "Oh, he's saying that Asian people are responsible for like all the boats backed in the harbor." Like, no, nobody's saying.
Whoa, that. I did not connect those dots.
Nobody's saying that. He just wanted to know where his like sweet and sour chicken was. And was joking about how long it takes to get food delivered to the courthouse, which I can imagine. There's like metal detectors and stuff. Like, it's not easy to just walk in with a delivery. Especially,
I will tell you, from working in an office building with security that's nothing like a courthouse, it's difficult to get delivery there.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I can imagine that security is probably beefed up for this trial given the climate that it's in.
Yeah,
Like they just had the other day. Now, this actually kind of irritated me with the judge. Like, I've liked I think he's been pretty fair. He's gotten rid of some of the things that the prosecution wanted. He's said no to some of the things that the defense wanted. I think he's been relatively like trying to follow the law as best he can. But like, for instance, people are all upset because he wouldn't allow, was it Rosenbaum and the two others that Kyle Rittenhouse shot to be called victims, because that's literally what's on trial.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing. And they're like, well, he let the defense call them rioters and looters. He said, yes, but if they showed that they were rioting and looting, like if that was a thing that you could prove, you can call them that. You can't prove that they're victims because we're determining whether they were victims here. That's what we're doing. And he's also had this same stance on many other cases in his history as a judge. So he's consistent with it.
I feel like right now, just based on the most recent events over the last couple of days, I feel like at this point he's really just trying to avoid a mistrial, because it's getting into that area where it could happen.
Right.
And the defense has already made reference to they might ask for one. And I know the prosecution seems a little bit concerned that might happen as well. And if you're a judge, you just want to see this. Yeah,
he just wants it over with. I get it.
I think as a judge, you just want an outcome that's definitive.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you don't want, let's face it, from a public perspective, you don't want this going to like directed verdict, mistrial with prejudice where it can't be retried and whatnot. You don't want that because that's just going to cause a lot of issues. There's already people running around threatening to riot if he's not convicted. I'm like, that's not how anything works.
Well, Jared, I gotta tell you, if you didn't think that was already going to happen.
Oh, I know it was going to happen. I'm just saying that's not how anything is supposed to work. It's
I know it's not going. This will not happen, but like theoretically, if Kyle Rittenhouse were to be convicted of all things that he's been accused of, except for one, there would still be a riot for that. I think. I mean, like, there's no. I don't think there's any outcome.
You mean exonerated? Or convicted?
No, like, I mean, if he was exonerated of one thing.
Oh, yeah. If it was like, yeah, they're like, okay, well, I mean, it could literally come down to, well, all right, we're going to convict him on homicide of the people he shot, but we're not going to charge him with the gun charge.
I think they'd
still be pissed off.
The people that are going to riot are going to riot no matter what.
They are. No matter what.
They just are. Yeah, there's no getting around that.
Well, and then
that's already set in their minds.
You've got them. You've got like the same group of people who. You've got the new mayor in New York City, and the leader of the local Black Lives Matter, I don't know, chapter. I'm not really sure how they're organized, to be honest. Met with him and was talking about the anti-crime unit that they got rid of last year during all of the protesting and rioting. And since then, there's been, I don't know if anybody's looked, a lot of crime. So these are basically like the cops that were out in plain clothes. And I mean, I'm not going to disagree that I'm sure some of them were skeevy people. You have millions of police officers, or at least hundreds of thousands. Like, yeah, you're going to get some bad ones. And those are the ones that need to be prosecuted and gotten rid of. But you can't just not police things when like violent, criminal behavior is increasing at a large rate. You got to do something about it because like just regular people living in New York don't want to like get mugged at gunpoint all the time especially because New York won't let you have a gun of your own.
You have to be careful because if you in areas where they've I know it's just a catchphrase, but like in areas where they've defunded the police, right? And they've actually reduced workforces and things of that nature.
Right.
It's really it really just punishes one particular group in this country. And that's generally the people that are on the lower class, the lower end of things.
Right.
They're the ones who get hurt by that the most. So the very people that you're trying to protect generally are the ones who end up getting hurt by those sorts of policies.
I would agree.
And unfortunately, we've tried to take the issue of police brutality, which is a problem in this country, and it's a problem in other countries, and it's 100%. A problem it's been there for as long as we've had police forces. So it's not something that I'm saying doesn't happen. But we can't sit there and make it a political issue that has to do solely with race because it doesn't. So if we take a look at, police brutality as an individual issue and how it affects all American citizens, I think we'll get somewhere. But if we get to a point where we want to make it a polarizing issue and divide everybody and say, well, it only affects this chunk of the population, well, every other chunk of the population is going to go, well, screw that, because I don't want no police force at all, because that's concerning, to say the least. So
exactly, it doesn't work.
Yeah, so, and it, like earlier, I was talking about the people who want to riot, they're just going to riot. Okay, yeah, but there are people who I'm sure, if they don't get the outcome in this trial that they want, would go out there and legitimately peacefully protest. So, like, I'm not saying everybody who protests is a rioter, and I'm not saying that every rioter is a protester. We can't sit there and make these, like, but unfortunately that's kind of what we become as a country. Like, we're like this nation of zealots,
Right.
It's like everything has to be no pun intended, black and white. Like, there is no middle ground. There's no nuance. It's just everything's red and blue, black and white, anti-vax, vax, and it's kind of strange how we've kind of trained ourselves as a nation to just look at things in factors of two. But,
yeah, it's
back to the
the
Rittenhouse
polar
thing.
part.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we have a two-party system as a government. I know there are independents out there, right? But they're very few and far between.
Mm.
Right now, the highest profile independent politician we have in this country is Bernie Sanders. So, I mean, that tells you really how many there are out there, because that's really the only notable one at this moment in time. So, it's a problem that we have, unfortunately, and we're gonna have to try to fix it as a society. But when it comes to this Rittenhouse thing, man, boy, has this trial turned into a public spectacle.
No kidding.
I don't even think you could retry the guy at this point. Like, let's just say, like, they threw it out. And we're like, oh, we're just gonna do a new trial. You can't at this point. It's been televised, right?
I mean, it's actually
all out there.
I would say less so televised. It's literally like, I feel like it's kind of approaching on that OJ level where like everybody was watching that on TV, but it's so decentralized because it's all streaming.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't watching it on TV. People are watching it on their phones, on their computers, on, smart TVs, things like that. It's not even like being filmed through the lens. And then when you look at what the actual like CNN and MSNBC and even Fox News are doing with the information that everybody can see for themselves, they're like completely mischaracterizing what's happening. And sometimes outright lying.
Yeah, they'll just take like a 5-second snippet and they'll play that and then they'll put their own spin on it, and it's just like completely out of context.
Yeah. Which is honestly what they've been doing, I feel like, all along. It's just now we know.
Pretty much. The headlines that I've seen from both sides of the aisle, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, it's a both sides issue.
Yeah, it's been wild, some of these headlines coming out.
Yeah, no, it's been absolutely crazy. But like, I mean, to me, the prosecutor's been absolutely like negligent in his duties.
Yeah, I just feel
he's just doing so many stupid things that you're just like, really? Like, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. Maybe these things are more common than I think they are, which is concerning in a different way. But it's so rough. And it's like he's just grasping at straws at this point.
I saw conspiracy theorists on Twitter. And when I say conspiracy theorists, I mean they have just a wild theory. I'm not saying that their opinion's wrong.
Right.
So, like, they are of the opinion that Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderer and that he went out there to go and kill people. And, like, he had intent from the minute he stepped out of his house that he was going to go do what happened.
Okay.
That's their opinion. I'm not going to go into that. But they had this crazy conspiracy theory that the prosecution is like in cahoots. They want to see Rittenhouse get off. So that's why they're literally punting this trial away.
Wow.
And
you know what?
I'm just sitting there thinking that's so wild to think of. Like, that a state prosecutor who's judged his career.
Right. Is based off of prosecuting people.
Rate.
Right. And not just conviction rate, but high profile convictions. Like, this is like a career maker case.
Or breaker. Like, if you lose this case, it's a big deal for your career.
See, I feel like that's different. Not necessarily the case. I feel like if he was going in and he was doing a good job and he just lost based on the facts of the case, it wouldn't necessarily break his career. It wouldn't help his career, but it wouldn't break it. But he's just so bad and he just doesn't seem to care. That's what's breaking his career.
I don't think he gets a high-profile case after this.
Well, I'm less concerned about that, right? But I'm looking at the decisions that he makes, and I'm like, these are the kind of guys that in like 10, 15 years are going to be judges.
It's a valuable thought because, oh boy. Like, when you vote, Just out of curiosity, Jared, when you vote, like, how much research do you put into it?
It really depends. I will say nationally, I feel like I don't have to do that much research because it's all kind of just laid out. You know
It's
what I
up
mean?
there. It's
Yeah.
up there. It's top.
It's right there.
Yeah.
I do look into, I would say, policy positions for most things, but I gotta admit, like, judge is not really one that I take too much consideration into.
But when I get my ballot for any election, I usually get it a few weeks in
Yeah,
advance
like the
here
sample
in
ballot,
Orange
right?
County. Yeah, usually they send out a sample ballot a few weeks in advance here in Orange
Yeah.
County. And I appreciate that because it allows me to go through and there are certain things that are gimmies, right? So
Right.
like last presidential election, I knew who I was voting for. There was no changing my mind on that. I was well versed on that. Like the Senate race, the House races in my area, I knew kind of where I was headed on that. But I got to tell you, every time I vote, the hardest thing is the judges.
Yeah.
Because finding any information on these people
Mhm.
is close to impossible. And I don't have a lot of interaction with the criminal justice system. Why would I?
Are
And
you trying to
nor
tell me
would
you're
you.
not in courtrooms very often?
No, like I mean, I don't really have any interaction with it, and it just fine
Yeah.
because the other thing here in Florida, I don't know how it is in other states, but I know here in Florida, judges don't have any sort of political affiliation.
No, they don't.
When they're put on their so with that, they generally have these websites for their camp. I mean, I've been to some of them. It looks like they were done on Squarespace.
They probably were, honestly. It was like their
I hope they aren't a
nephew
sponsor
or
of this
something like that.
podcast, but
No,
yeah.
trust me, we can piss them all off. We don't have any sponsors yet.
Yeah, so Squarespace, great product, right? If you're doing an Etsy shop or something.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. But for a campaign website, you might want to
campaign website, probably not what you want. So,
maybe spend a little
some
extra.
of them, some of them, you feel like you're kind of just going in the dark, and I could totally see like a prosecutor from this maybe ending up being a judge, and that's kind of concerning to me.
Yeah, it is. It's really weird. I will say honestly, like this kind of makes me think about things like you mentioned where you check, but yeah, the judges there's no party affiliation. Sheriff, I mean, I live in, the county I live in Florida, it's real easy to pick your sheriff. Everybody knows who he is. And he's never going to lose as long as
he'll get reelected
wants
as
to
long as he runs.
The only reason he would not be elected sheriff if he decided to run for governor. Like that's about it.
He's so over. He could make this Asian food joke.
Oh yeah,
and people would laugh.
Asian people would laugh. The people from the Asian American Advancing Justice, Asian Americans Advancing Justice would laugh if that particular sheriff, who is, you know what I love seeing? He's all over TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
All over it. It's
gotta
amazing.
Get the young vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta get the young vote.
You gotta get out there. But yeah, no, and it's just like, who you're voting for there. But like, yeah, city council, it's weird because like I think most people
that's a tough one too.
Pay the least amount of attention to the people that they vote for that actually have the most effect on their lives directly.
So city council, at least in my area, is very interesting because these people will have websites and they have these wild, outlandish ideas on their websites. Like there was one lady, she had a website and she was going over her views and I'm like, you are crazy. Like, I can't believe you managed to get this. I mean, she lost in a landslide.
Yeah.
But the ideas she had for like city proposals and infrastructure ideas, I'm sitting there thinking, I have no idea how you managed to get this far. But then I found out she had run unopposed until
somebody finally came in and was like, no.
Yeah. So all through the nomination process, she had run unopposed, and then somebody stepped up and was like, okay, if nobody's going to stop this maniac, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. City council is is that like a part-time gig, basically?
It depends.
I would say it probably depends on the city.
So it depends. I know in my area, it's pretty much a part-time gig, but it does come with a salary.
Yeah, which I don't have an issue with. You're devoting time to I mean, it's not just city council meetings. Like, there's other things you have to do, I'm sure.
I actually know a guy who got city council, and it was a part-time gig in his area. He got city council, got elected, and one of the things that he promised in his campaign was that, since he was keeping his day job, he would donate the salary, which he did.
Okay.
Because he was kind of saying, hey, like, really nobody should be taking a salary for this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Because
if that's your
part-time
stance, then that's good.
Oh, it was over like Rover in that area.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, like, people love that.
Most people don't like paying civil servants in general. So when you say, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to charge you any money for it. In fact, I'm going to take the money that they're going to give me anyway, and I'm going to do something good with it. Like that's a really good thing. It's kind of like when senators and Congress people run on term limits, but then they never vote for term limits.
Yeah, it's kind of
I mean,
weird.
I'll admit it's a hard one. Like, how are you going to like vote to like, hey, I want this job, but I want to make sure that I can't have it for like a really long time.
Unless you're crazy like Rand Paul. Like, I love Rand Paul. He's brilliant. I really like him a lot. But he's like, we need 8-year term limits.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm up here. I've been here, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
I've
oh,
been
God,
here 20
Rand.
years.
And I'm like, Rand, I know, but like, you're just gonna go be an optometrist. You're fine.
He is.
Because like
he's
he's
good.
a legitimate doctor. But like, these other guys, they're never gonna vote for it because this is their gravy train.
No.
Like, they're set, bro.
Well, they're gonna leave this, and then they're gonna go be on like boards and different companies and whatnot.
Write a book that nobody will ever read.
Yeah, exactly. But it still somehow sells 1 million copies because somebody paid for them. No, but like, it's just one of those things where it's like, Congress is never gonna vote down like a pay increase for them.
No, you'll never.
Like, nobody's gonna do that.
Would you vote? Would you vote against you getting a raise?
Well, I don't think they should be able to vote for their own raise.
No, I don't think so.
Like, when I go want a raise, I have to go to my boss.
I think
we should vote if they get a raise.
Yeah, they should have like an American Idol style show. When they want,
oh my
right?
God, this could be.
Think about it.
This could pay for the raise, though.
Exactly. When they want a raise, they call up Fox or whoever has the American Idol. It's not Fox anymore. Somebody else bought the rights. I think it's ABC.
Could be.
They have to call up ABC,
right?
And they do like a 1-hour special, and they get to I don't know. They can pick 6 Congress people, right? And they send them out, and they got to make their case, and then Americans call in and vote. And if they get the raise, they get the raise.
Are we talking about 6 to represent all of Congress on whether all of Congress gets the raise, or like the one of the 6 that we pick gets a raise and nobody else does?
We could do it that way.
I like that way better. Really, make it competitive.
Make it like a Survivor type thing.
Okay.
They gotta.
But what about this? Instead of American Idol, we do like a Great British Bake Off.
I'm okay with that too. I only said American Idol because I like the idea of calling in, right?
I like the idea too, but I feel like
immediate answer.
I feel like you could do this with like a Twitter poll. Like, as far as the voting, like you don't have to have the call in, and then because they're going to try to charge money for calling in.
Yeah,
it's Congress. They try to charge you money for everything. Like, you got to pay money for your lawyer and stuff when they subpoena you to come in and testify. I mean, you don't have to, but if you're not stupid, you bring a lawyer. And that's why they do it to a lot of people, because they're like, oh, well, they'll just agree to whatever we want them to do instead, because they don't want to have to do all the thing and come to Washington, D.C. on their own dime and all that stuff. But no, I like it. And then Mary Berry shows up and like scolds them because their argument was bad.
Totally okay with that.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
And then
let the American people decide.
Right, exactly. Like, we're supposedly your boss, even though it never actually seems to work out that way. But yeah, I don't think they should be voting on term limits either. Like, I think that should be something that we decide. Like, put out the same year there's a national election. Hey, do you want this? Cool. Anybody that's at the term limit now, you're out. You're done. Have a great day.
I did read recently, because I was reading about FDR, and his run in the presidency. And they were saying that in this article, and they were able to show historical, like, verifiable evidence of this. The founding fathers were not a fan of term limits at all.
They weren't. No,
Apparently.
and in fact,
allegedly they were like totally like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. The people will speak. We don't need to impose a term limit
Right.
because it'll work itself out.
well,
I thought that was intriguing.
Washington, I believe, was the one that did 2 terms and then said, "All right, I'm good." And that's kind of where the 2-term thing came from.
That was the precedent because,
And then most of the people just kind of followed it, right?
Yeah, everybody pretty much followed it. But a lot of people also forget that there were a lot of presidents that did try unsuccessfully to run for that 3rd term.
Yeah, no, there were, but like it just never worked out until FDR. Which, I mean, I guess if you're gonna make a case for somebody, he was a real popular guy.
And it was at a time where, if you're the guy who was there when we work ourselves out of the Great Depression and through one of the worst conflicts in international history.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
You're kind of. But what is fascinating about FDR is his margin of victory went down every time he ran for re-election.
Yeah, I know.
So
it was real close.
It was real close in that 4th term that he only did, I think, a very small amount. I think it was less than 60 days.
Yeah.
Of his 4th term, and that margin of victory was incredibly narrow.
Yeah. Well, he's not there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, FDR was so over. He could have said this Asian food joke, and that would have been over. That would have gotten laughs.
Yeah, he could have done it.
And then if it didn't work out, he could have been like, "Hey, I'm in a wheelchair. I can get away with it."
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's all I kind of got. You got anything else?
No, man.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It actually went a bit longer than I expected, but it was quite a pleasant conversation. I mean, it's kind of in the name.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you want to plug?
Nah, man. If you want to check out my stuff, you just go to purpleswordfish.com and that'll take you that'll take you to one spot where you can find everything: my Twitter, my YouTube, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's good. Check it out. I mean, I've been watching you we're friends too, so I mean, take it with a grain of salt, I suppose. But I enjoy your videos.
Giant grain of salt. Yeah.
But yeah,
biased.
Thanks everybody for coming. It was I think it went great, except for the initial technical difficulties. But I'd rather get those over today than have them happen later on. But other than that, I hope y'all have a great night.
Where can I find this?
Where can you find this? This is going to be all right. So this is kind of a thing. I have created a channel for this, but I forgot that YouTube makes you wait 24 hours after creating a new channel to actually live stream from it.
Yeah.
And I did that this afternoon. So we had not waited the 24 hours, but it will be if you look up Dangerous Tangents on YouTube, I'm the only one with that name somehow. Which might mean it's not that great of a name, but I'm going to go with it. So that'll be up there. We're going to put the VOD up on there for this with probably some editing and some clips. And then from the next episode on, which I'm hoping will be sometime next week, work is going to be kind of crazy because Thanksgiving's coming up and I work in like grocery distribution. So I will post on there kind of like a note on when the next episode is going to be, but that's going to be the official channel from here on out.
What about audio only?
Audio only. We're going to be setting that up probably this weekend.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll post that on Twitter, which you can follow me at Spoon Sandwich. Or you can actually, I have set up a Twitter account, which may or may not change.
You gotta plug all this stuff, man.
It's actually because of Twitter's character maximum. I've gone with Dan Tan Pod.
Okay.
So that's kind of a work in progress. But if you want, you follow it. But you can find all of it on my own Twitter at Spoon Sandwich. And we have a Discord server too, which I will link in my. I suppose I'll put it in my Twitter profile for now. So if you want to come join us there, Alex is already there, and we got a couple other people, and it's a good time.
Should have gone with Danger Tang.
Danger Tang, that's not bad.
Like a really dangerous.
Like,
do they sell Tang anymore?
I was thinking like the flavor Tang. Like, oh man, that's got a tang to it.
Yeah. No, Tang. It was.
Yeah, it was the astronaut
they
drink.
said astronauts used to use it. Yeah, and it was like an orange drink. Tang. Yeah, Danger Tang.
They had that and like the dehydrated ice cream sandwiches.
Did you ever have one?
Oh yeah, they're good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I enjoyed them quite a lot. I like the Neapolitan one because then you get like the flavor distinguishing.
Well, I hope you put links to all this in the Discord so I can subscribe and all that.
I will, for sure.
Definitely get that audio only version up because that would be the one that I would probably listen to because I listen to a lot of podcasts at work. So
yeah, no, I think that's the popular one for most people, which is I think probably where the biggest home's going to live. But I like the live thing. I want to continue doing that as much as possible. Trying to work some things out with my day job to make it a day job, so I have evenings free. And that way we can do it more regularly. But no, I certainly appreciate you coming on for the first inaugural show. And
yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, everybody have a great night.